been a minute. Been a minute since I made a video on maths, and seeing as I made one on GCSE maths and how I got a 9 then, 2 years ago, I thought it was only right to make one on how to get an A star in A-level maths, because I also did the same there. And for those of you that have been here since that GCSE maths video, I hope you appreciated that little cameo. But yeah, anyway, getting straight into it, this is exactly how I got an A star in A-level maths and exactly how you can get it yourself. Now you can also apply all of these methods and tips to A-level further maths, but it's all in this one video. Okay, sick. So first of all, a few things to note about maths as opposed to other subjects is it isn't subjective. You either get the answer right or you get it wrong, which means it's a lot easier to revise than some of the other subjects like the humanities, where it's just memorize a bunch of information and then hope that you can put it into an answer that the examiner likes. Because with this, it means that the same fundamental mathematics and the same methods underpin every type of question. For example, there aren't two different methods of integration that give you two different answers. There's one method and it gives you the one correct answer. However, the problem lies in the questions and exactly how they ask them, because sometimes the way they ask them masks the methods that you need to be able to solve that question. Like, you might not be able to initially identify the path that you need to take to get to an answer, so even though you have the fundamental understanding of the content and of those methods, you can't apply it because you don't know what to apply. So taking all of that into consideration, there's only 3 possible areas that you can lose marks, or 3 reasons why you'd lose marks. The first being a lack of understanding of the fundamental mathematics or those methods. So even if the question is explicit in asking you to apply that method, because you don't have the fundamental understanding of that method, you can't answer the question and you don't get the marks. Now the second reason why you lose marks is the inability to see what the problem is actually asking. You might have the fundamental understanding of the methods behind the question, but you can't figure out what methods to apply to reach an answer, because the question might be asked in a really inexplicit way that might be just like, find this answer, but you don't know how to get to that answer. So even though if someone told you all of the steps you needed to take, you'd be able to apply it because you know the maths, you can't figure out that path for yourself and you can't get the marks. And then the third and final reason why you lose marks is literally just stupid mistakes. Like, you might write an answer to the wrong number of significant figures, or you might just not write down the answer you got, and that's something that's really easily solved, or something that's really easily solved. And those are the 3 key reasons why you lose marks. In this revision method, I basically try to eliminate all of those reasons to give you a better understanding of the mathematical content, to enable you to find those paths to the solutions and the methods that you need to use to get there, and then also help you to eliminate those stupid errors. So, what is the method? Okay, right, well, there are 2 aspects of this revision method. The first aspect and the first thing that you need to do is whenever you finish a topic in maths, you need to go home and you need to make cue cards that outline the content and then the methods you use to solve questions relating to that content. So, for example, if you're making a cue card on integration, what you want to be doing is first of all outlining the reason for integration's existence. The sole purpose of integration is to find the area beneath a curve. When you've got that down, you then want to write down the method used for solving integration questions. For example, you might write down, when asked to integrate ax to the power of n, what do you do? And then on the back of the cue card, you literally just write ax to the power of n goes to ax n plus 1 over n plus 1. But to make those cue cards, you need obviously the information. And you can either get that information from the notes you take in class if you feel like you take detailed enough notes, but what I did was took notes from Integral, because my school actually paid for Integral for all of us. Now, I don't actually recommend buying Integral if you don't already have it through your school. I recommend a textbook like this. It basically just explains all of the maths topics and then gives you a bunch of practice questions for each of those topics. I'll actually link this one in the description below. And that is what you want to be doing every single time you finish a topic in maths, because that helps you then to solidify your fundamental understanding of the maths, so you're in a better position and you know all of the methods required to answer any questions. And then the second thing you want to be doing is blasting out thousands of exam papers and past questions. And by doing past paper questions, I don't mean just answering them and then leaving it. I mean answering them, going through the mark scheme, marking all of your answers and seeing what you get wrong, because in doing this, not only are you helping to better your understanding of the content by applying what you've learned or what you've looked over in your cue cards, but you're also helping to develop your ability to identify paths to a solution in questions where those methods might be slightly masked. For example, if you don't get an answer or you don't know how to tackle a question, you look at the mark scheme, you identify the process that they've used, and exposing yourself to all of those questions and all of those answers will put you in a better position to begin to identify those paths for yourself. And like with my physics and my chemistry methods, while doing these past paper questions, you also want to be making cue cards on the stuff you get wrong. For example, if you haven't seen the maths in the context of a specific question and you don't know how to answer it, when you look at that mark scheme and you realize how to answer it, you want to make a cue card to re-trigger that understanding. So on the front of the cue card, it might literally just be the question, how do you answer it? And on the back of the cue card, you'll literally outline the process. Because then when you're reviewing those cue cards, you're improving your ability to identify paths to solutions and familiarizing yourself with a load of different situations, ultimately helping you to identify the paths to answers on questions that you've never seen before. And in doing both of those first 2 processes, you're tackling the 2 main main reasons why you drop marks in an exam: the lack of understanding of the content and then the inability to find a path to the answer. But then obviously there's a third reason why you lose marks, and that's just making stupid errors. With this, all you have to do is just double check and then triple check all of your answers when you're doing any of those past paper questions and then in the actual exam. And while you're doing those past paper questions, if there's any stupid errors, like for example swapping a plus with a negative or not writing it to the correct number of significant figures, you want to note that down, make a cue card on it so that when you're reviewing your cue cards, that's getting ingrained into your mind so as to not make that mistake in the exam. For example, if you know you're making loads of mistakes with significant figures, write a cue card on it, and then when you go through those cue cards, you're constantly telling yourself, check for significant figures, and then when you're in the actual exam, you do check for significant figures. So check while you're doing practice questions and make cue cards on that, and then in the exam, leave time to check, because so many times have I been back through my exam paper and found like 10 to 15 marks, which could be the difference between a grade C and a grade A. It is mad. Check all of your answers. But yeah, those are the 3 aspects of my revision method that helped me to get that A star in maths. And obviously it also applies to further maths. But for maths, I probably made about 400, 500 cue cards, and it took so long. But these are all in the description below if you do want to check them out. However, snaprevise, today's video sponsor, has actually put together this set of 200 cue cards that covers the entire A level. So let's see what they're about. Okay, so these are the cards inside the box, and they're laid out exactly as the A-level physics ones if you did see the last video, but essentially there's a contents page that tells you exactly what topic is on every one of those cue cards, and they're all numbered. So if you just want to go to a particular idea, you can look at the content, see which card it's on, and go straight to it. Unlike with my cue cards, where you just have to flick through them all and try to find where that idea is. This is a massive time saver in that regard. And then the actual cue cards themselves, they have that information on the front, like I said, basically outlining the fundamental understanding of that mathematical topic, and then on the back they have a question and then the exact method to solve that question. So with this, you can get a quick reminder of the mathematical content, turn it around, and then answer a question by covering up the answers, attempting the question and checking to see if you got it right, and then if you didn't, either making additional cue cards on something like Anki to familiarize yourself with exactly why you got it wrong, or just putting the card to one side and attempting it again later. And that's how you can work through these cue cards and essentially just use them as your all-in-one revision resource, using additional past paper questions, etc. on top if you wanted to. But then, as always, we've got the snaprevise course. The course is basically just the complete package and can be used to teach everything you need to know, or can just be used as revision. You basically just work your way through all of the topics by first taking a quiz on each. This quiz determines the subtopics you struggle on and then highlights those topics in orange for review. You then review each with the bite-sized videos before attempting a new quiz, continuing this cycle until you've mastered every subtopic. For each, there is also a set of exam questions for additional practice. So if you do want to check out those cue cards or the course, and depending on when this video is out, the free maths cheat sheets that basically summarize the entire course, then hit the top link in my description below. And also, if you use the code snaprevisejake, you can get a 14-day free trial on both the pro and the basic subscriptions for that course. But otherwise, that is it for me today. I do hope you found this video helpful. You can also check out any of my other GCSE and A-level videos up there. And yeah, we've got a hell of a lot more content coming just like this, and then of course all of the university vlogs. So if that sounds like content you want to be a part of, I'd go down and absolutely obliterate that subscribe and like button. I appreciate that. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
I live inside my own world of make-believe.